Hello and welcome on in to another feature highlight from Cities Skylines 2, where we take the live premiere, get our live reaction, and talk about what we've seen. Now, this one is all about Citizen Lifepath, so we're going to see how things transition from when you start the game to when you, well, essentially till they die, which is a pretty morbid thing to say, but hopefully we can get a better insight on how to extend that life path. Obviously, we know that we could do that with the elder care in the first game, so that's good to know. Also, just as an FYI for those who've subscribed to the channel, there'll be a few less videos this week and next week due to a little break, but I still wanted to do this. And if you want to catch my Cities playthrough, that is every Saturday at 3 p.m. BST live on Twitch, so feel free to check us out. But let's kick this thing off. Let's go.
You might think that city building is all about glass and steel, bricks and mortar, tarmac, smokestacks, and iron tracks. But it's also about joy and laughter, sadness and tears, struggles, triumphs, even love. That's because city building is about people. While the behavior of your city citizens is rooted in deep simulation, they aren't guided by ones and zeros. They follow very real human impulses on their life path. A life path encompasses major events that shape their lives. It starts with being born in or moving to your city. Everything after that, from their first day of school to college graduation, their first big promotion to retirement, their nervous first date to tying the knot, is just another step on their life path. Most days will be uneventful. Citizens will follow a routine of attending school, working, and spending free time with friends and family. But like the rest of us, they'll have good days and bad. Citizens can fall ill, suffer accidents, lose their job and become homeless, commit crimes and face the consequences. On the flip side, citizens reap the benefits when your city thrives. These happy citizens stay and contribute as they get older, until it's their time to line up at heaven's pearly gates. Happiness is something you can actually measure in Cities Skylines 2. It's a score that tallies an individual's health and well-being. You can track happiness on each citizen's information panel. View the panel for their household to learn what's contributing or detracting from their collective happiness. Get the basics right, and citizens will basically be happy. Ensure they have a reliable electricity supply, clean water, decent plumbing, and regular garbage collection. Minimize ground, air, and noise pollution. Keep a lid on crime so citizens feel safe. High-speed internet is pretty much a must-have, and so is a suitable home. Families need space, so they'll benefit from living in larger homes in low-density areas where kids can roam freely. Small apartments are best for singles and students who want low rents in busy areas where they can go out and socialize. Healthcare is non-negotiable. Without it, citizens can die from illness and injuries. Even with good sanitation and low pollution, citizens need medical facilities near enough to travel on their own steam or by ambulance for routine care. This is especially important for your city's elderly population, whose health won't always be tip-top. Seniors are actually in the last of the 4 life stages your citizens will experience. They might even live in a multi-generational home with citizens in the other life stages, including children, teens, and adults. And look out for 4-legged family members too. Keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening with your citizens by viewing their Life Path journal. It records everything that happens to them from the moment you click follow. It'll show you personal details, their happiness score, and their chirper feed. Oh, and one more thing, Chirper is back. Expanded and better integrated, Chirper now gives citizens a voice. They'll talk about what's going on in their lives and what's happening in the city. If their chirps get likes, you know just how important that topic is to them and other citizens. This can be helpful when they chirp to complain about underperforming city services and applaud their excellent work. When it comes to the health, well-being, and happiness of your citizens, think quality, not quantity. By creating places, spaces, and experiences that enrich their lives, you'll discover what city building is all about.
Okay, so interesting for sure. Also, sorry about if you can hear any background noises. Seems to be some sort of street party going on. I don't know. I'm antisocial. Hello. So I was when this one started, I was going to assume that your Sims, or I hate to call them Sims, but your Sims lifestyles were going to be so much more in depth because they're talking about love and marriage and moving in and stuff. Doesn't seem to be that way. This seemed more of like an overview of what services you need to provide them, which is good. I mean, it was pretty self-explanatory from when we had the services feature highlight. But one good thing to mention here is Chirper. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with Chirper. And by love-hate, I mean hate-hate, because I have a mod called Chirpy Exterminator in CS1 because it drove me crazy. However, it looks like they have really overhauled this to the point where it almost acts as a social media platform. And it is a good way to kind of see how or what problems are or need to be addressed first, because more people will be liking them, right? But before we do talk a lot more in depth about that, let's just double check and see if we've missed anything. So I do have to say, the citizens in this game look a lot better. The models are a lot more sharp. I love these camera angles, and I'm going to assume, if it's not the next one, the one after, about the cinematic camera, it should give us a better overview. Also, dogs. Yes, please. I love them. Okay, so the first thing to note is that the fact that you can, obviously, in the first game, you could see citizens' happiness regardless. I'm not sure why they specified in this one that you can measure it, because you could always measure it. But the good thing about this is that it's broken down. Now, it's a little bit hard to see due to the overlay of this, but it does show what factors your citizens need, essentially. So you can see here, high noise pollution has actually had a negative impact on this one, whereas wealth has had a very positive interaction with this one. And they change from person to person. And obviously these life stages, children, young adults, elderly, and the other one, which I can't remember straight away of, they all have different means of what they want to be happy, including the high-speed internet, which I am looking forward to. So it's good to see how you can break this down, and this obviously would factor in how you improve the city as you go. So obviously we're not entirely sure where this person is living. Maybe this is like an overall happiness, because I can't see anything clicked as per se. But it does seem like overall citizens pretty happy here, which is good. Which is really good. So let's skip forward. So here you can, it was quite cool that you could actually individually click on people to see their happiness. But obviously we knew about their wealth beforehand anyway. I won't move my head just from there, but just to read from the top down. In fact, I will do it very quickly, because you can see their general mood set just here. So this person is neutral, whereas I think the next one was happy. So it's good to see the difference there, and it does factor in each person, which is great. It does make me wonder how much RAM and system requirements are needed for like a big city, because if you've got, well, in this city there is what, 96,000 people. If you're getting to 1 million, all that data is quite a lot. I'm quite surprised, and I do wonder more. But so you can see exactly what they're doing, their age, their education level, their household, their wealthiness, but happiness is obviously the big thing here. I'm not sure what this is. This is a new button, because this is obviously like from the first game, you pin them, you follow them. This I'm not sure, and I'm interested to see what this does. I'm very interested. But yeah, so once you've clicked on that person, you can hover over their emotional base, essentially, and see individually what they're lacking. So here, there's unreliable healthcare cover, which means you'd probably want to put in some more medical or health benefits into that area, which is really good. And here it's just a general blurb of like what they'd expect. It does seem like there's a bit of noise pollution too. Also, can I just stress, these paths are beautiful. I hated the vanilla paths in CS1 because, for example, if you were trying to place them in like a back alley or something like that, they'd have lights on automatically, and there'd be no way to turn them off unless you had a mod. I'm so glad that these are vanilla paths. And I'm hoping, like you can with the roads, you can just click on something to upgrade them, because that would be wonderful. So yeah, obviously here you can see them placing a park, and you have the big XP explosions, which we're aware of already. And obviously crime rate is still an issue. Communications. Some of these homes look beautiful. I don't think I've seen this one before. The one with the little pool. Well, actually, there's 2 pools here. They look really nice, actually. Definite improvement. Obviously, the apartment blocks we know about. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff in here was obviously showing us what we already knew anyway. It was just hounding in on that factor that your citizens' happiness is more important. So really, I don't think this should have been called Lifepath. I think this should have just been happiness. Because that's what they're talking about. They're not really talking about things that happen to them on a day-to-day basis, which again, it did sound like they were alluding to at the start. A little bit disappointed by that. But it's good to see. Now, I think the biggest thing to note on this one is this chirper thing. So down here in the bottom right, we have the icon. And, well, actually, there's 2 here. So I guess chirper is like an overall view of like what's coming in. Whereas when you click on a certain person, you get their individual feed, which is really nice. It shows that you don't need to go into everything, but you can if you want to. And I think that's something that's really important, because the game has always stressed there is more to manage, but it depends on you and how you play of how much you want to micromanage, which I do love. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, I do like the fact that chirper actually has a use now, rather than just, this has happened. Oh no, this has happened. Again, it is that. Plenty of free time, happy life. 3.8k people have liked. That means a lot of people share those views, which is really cool. But you can see just before, we have an overabundance of electricity production, so we're selling the excess to the outside world. 7.4k people love that. I think it's a really useful tool just to highlight what might be going wrong in your city if you're not already aware, which is really cool. Also, I did just see something there. The smog is just unbearable. Someone should really deal with all this air pollution. 15.4k people. That's, oh, what is that? Like a sixth of the population? Means there's a lot of air pollution in the city. So you can kind of guess where this is. And I guess if you're streaming this sort of game and you have this on the side, it's really useful if you miss something and, you know, suddenly someone from the comments like, hey, this is clearly a problem because we've just seen it in chirper. So it gives it that interaction element as well, which I quite like. But aside from that, this might be quite a short video. But before we do, let's jump on over and see what is happening on the workshop, because we do have a look at this too. Just to see if there's any more insight on there, because occasionally there is, which is quite useful. But again, I think it might be more about what they're talking about, because obviously we've learned about unemployment in the last feature highlight. So yeah, general well-being, obviously providing them with services, sewage treatment, water, garbage, electrical, postal services, and internet connections are valued by citizens amongst suitable sized apartments, which is really good. Why is my internet dropped to something from the 90s? The citizens are consumers at heart, having options to buy and consume goods. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know why this is so slow. Never mind, that's fine. Whilst garbage is piling up on citizens' well-being, it also affects their health. So it's good to see that the garbage directly affects health as well. Age groups, we kind of knew about anyway from the start. I didn't think they were going to overhaul this dramatically. Children, teens, adults, seniors, and families. Why and families? Can comprise multiple generations from children to grandparents. It's interesting they put that in bold. Maybe that's like so all these different families can live in the same block. Maybe that's how they like separate it as such, which is fine. A little bit about preferences here, which could be useful. When traveling, teens prefer the cheaper mode of transport and weigh it against how far they are willing to walk. If they travel by car, they would rather park far away in a free parking spot. Okay, so actually it is good that we've read this, because obviously we weren't sure of how things can do. When I'm building my cities, I tend to go very heavily transport oriented. because I think transport is a beautiful way. But that's also because I hated the AI in CS1 and cars using like all one lane. Thank God for mods, let's just say that. So it's good to see from the vanilla how your different age groups kind of prioritize their way around the city. Adults value time, so they find the quickest way to get past, be it parking fees, public transport ticket fees. Okay, that's fair. Seniors prioritize comfort. It's not whether it's cheap or expensive, fast or slow, as long as they get as near as possible to their destination. Okay, so that's also going to factor in quite a lot, which is really cool. Age groups also have a preference when it comes to shopping for their households. Many available goods are relatively evenly bought by all types of household members. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Citizens Lifepath, we already kind of know about this, and thank you for the detailed Sherpa feed. A keen player can spot the connections between citizens' surroundings, such as education options, job opportunities, and living conditions, to the changes in their lives, the jobs they get, and the choices they make. Okay. Interesting. Good to know. Sherpa, the lovable bird from Cities Skylines, makes a glorious return. Great. No, but I am really glad that they've overhauled this, to be fair. It does seem more of a tool rather than just an annoying, you know. Education. Sorry about that. Okay, education. Uneducated, poorly educated, educated, well educated, and highly educated. So we've added in an extra one there, which I believe is... I can't even remember now. Jesus, I was literally building something earlier today. But it's good to have that extra life path. I'm going to guess that's probably adding in the college and to the university probably, which is pretty good. Employment, we knew a little bit about from the previous one as well. Criminal behavior. So they did lean into this a little bit. Citizens can become criminals. The probability of this is relatively low, but the chances increase if the citizens' well-being is low. Okay, so this is something we didn't know as well. So if you aren't making your citizens happy, they will turn to crime and they will steal, they will cause damage. That's really interesting to know. So that's more of an incentive as to why you need to keep people happy. I love that. When a criminal is arrested, the police take them to the jail located at police stations and police headquarters. There's a portion of the arrested criminals are sentenced to serve time in prison, either in the city if one is available. Okay, that's good to know. Leisure. So obviously we know tourists and city attractiveness will bring in tourists. That's fine. Different types of leisure. Okay. Something else we didn't know about. Leisure can be gained from various locations. City recreation includes indoor and outdoor recreation possibilities in the form of tourist attractions, landmarks, parks, plazas, various sports venues such as tennis courts, soccer fields, or community pools. Commercial recreation. Spend time in malls. Okay, so it's nice to know that tourists will come to your city just to do shopping as well. I think that's a wonderful idea. And obviously we know that indoor and outdoor activities are a must due to the changing weather. Citizens' conditions. Okay, this is also interesting. So the citizens can have different conditions. Sick, obviously. That's going to be a pretty normal one, just in case they become sick. Injured citizens cannot work. Citizens become injured when they're involved in traffic accidents, building fires, and collapse. So that's really cool. The fact that if a disaster has just happened, they need time off. They are injured. They need time to recover. That is a hell of a change. I love that. We knew a little bit about homelessness, but that's whether or not they can pay the rent. Unwell. I'm curious why they're sick and unwell. Citizens who are unwell have a low well-being value. Their happiness value decreases and their contribution to work is also negatively effective. To me, and I'm going to use the trigger word of depression here, that sounds more like a depressive stage more than anything. Because there's a massive difference between being ill and being unwell, or being, you know, as much as we justify it and say, like, if you are ill or unwell or mentally unwell, physically unwell, whichever it may be, you can still take time off here, at least in the UK. It's interesting choice of words. I guess there's a way to protect things, but okay, that's good to know as well. Weak. Citizens who are weak have lower health value. This decreases their happiness and negatively affects their contribution to work. Okay, so far, pretty much the same as well. Citizens with lower health are at higher risk of becoming sick. Okay, so there's almost like a tier system to like how unwell or where in the unwell category they are. And I'm going to guess if they're weak, they're usually a little bit older, potentially. That's quite cool. Distress. Citizens who are in danger, trapped, are distressed. Citizens are in danger when they are in a burning building. It's so cool to see all these different like conditions. That's really cool. And evacuation. So evacuated citizens are in an emergency shelter. So that's going to be directly linked to natural disasters. Okay, so I'm surprised they didn't mention that in the video, but it's really cool to know that citizens now have conditions from whenever they move in or are born in the city to their resting stage. That's really cool. Okay, so next up we have sounds and music. Now, I will still do a live reaction. It probably won't be a very long one, but I am interested in it because obviously I found the radio quite like repetitive. And you know when you zoomed in and out of the map, like the volume would change dramatically. Nightmare for streaming. So we'll still do a live reaction. But the last one, September 11th, cinematic camera and photo mode, I'm very excited for. I'm very, very excited. But yes, thank you so much. Again, apologies for the noise, and I'll catch you on the next one. Feel free to like and subscribe. See you then.